Your boss sends one message. Can we talk later? Everyone else reads 3 words and moves on. You've already read the ending of the whole story. The tone felt off. The word later felt cold. Did you do something? By the time you actually sit down with them, you've lived through 6 versions of that conversation, and 5 of them were bad. Here's the strange part. You're usually right about people. You catch what others miss. The pause before a yes, the smile that drops half a second too soon. And it still doesn't feel like a gift. It's exhausting. Constantly running every possibility, seeing the negative in every situation, and never quite able to fully trust anyone. It feels like a light in your head that somebody forgot how to turn off. If that's you, stay with me, because what you've spent your whole life calling overthinking isn't what you think it is. Most people assume this is anxiety, or being too sensitive. At Cognitive Psychology, we're going to look at it a different way today, because the truth is quieter and stranger than that. Your mind isn't broken. It learned to do one thing so well that it never learned how to stop. And it didn't come from nowhere. Research suggests some people are simply born tuned to a higher resolution, a nervous system that feels more, catches more, from day one. But for a lot of us, it was learned. Psychologists call it hypervigilance, and it usually starts early. Picture a kid in a house where the mood could turn without warning. That child doesn't get to be careless. They become a radar. Maybe you're the kind of person who learned to read the room before you ever learned to read books. To know from the sound of the front door whether tonight was going to be safe. Nobody teaches a child that. The nervous system does it alone, because back then, paying attention was survival, and somewhere along the way, you started wondering, is this even intuition? Or is it just a survival skill that never learned how to shut off? Here's the answer almost no one gives you. That kid grows up, the house is gone, the danger passed years ago, but the radar never got the message. It's still scanning an empty room. So how does that show up in a normal adult life? I'd bet you'll recognize at least one of these. Watch which one lands hardest. I'll ask you at the end. The first is the quietest. You're always running the equation. For most people, a conversation is just a conversation. For you, there's a second screen open behind your eyes. You're not overthinking. You're running a full FBI investigation on every vibe in the room. You're the kind of person who turns the doorknob while closing a door, just so the click doesn't land too hard and bother someone in the next room. You can be laughing, holding your coffee, fully present, while another part of you is in the back taking notes. That's why you come home wrecked from a day of sitting still. Your body rested. Your mind ran a marathon nobody saw. The second turns the lens around. You don't just feel things, you watch yourself feel them. Sadness shows up, and instead of just being sad, you put it on trial. Is this reasonable? I have a good life. Why do I feel empty? Even joy gets audited. You laugh at a party, and half a second later you're near the ceiling asking, was that too loud? Did that sound fake? It's like dancing while staring at yourself in the mirror the whole time. You hit every step, but you lose the music. And honestly, some of your happiest moments are the ones right after, when you realize you were just living, and for once, not thinking about it at all. The third one costs more than people admit. You lost the ability to take things at face value. You started seeing backstage, the strings, the fear hiding behind someone's confidence. A coworker brings you coffee and praises your work, and before you can enjoy it, your brain asks, what do they want? You're not bitter. You've just lost a small luxury, hearing a kind word as only a kind word. You can read other people like a book. You just could never read yourself half that well. And that can leave you lonely in a full room, seeing a layer no one else seems to notice. The fourth drains you the most. Your empathy has no off switch. You walk into a meeting and feel the tension between 2 people before anyone speaks. A friend mentions their divorce, and that pain sits in your chest for 3 days like it's yours. Some researchers link this to how our brains simulate other people's emotions. But for you, it doesn't stop at understanding. You absorb. You're so genuine, so busy thinking about everyone else, that you completely neglect your own life. Reading everyone's needs before they voice them, adjusting your tone, keeping every friendship alive because you feel responsible for how everyone else feels. You become the one everyone feels safe around. And almost no one stops to ask if the person who always understands has anyone who understands them. Now here's the part I want you to really sit with, because this is where it all connects. Everything I've described, the analyzing, the empathy, the reading between the lines, slowly stops being about understanding other people, and it quietly becomes about protecting yourself. Think about it. If you can predict how everyone will act, nothing can blindside you. If you see the disappointment coming from a mile off, maybe it won't break you when it lands. So your mind runs simulations, endlessly. What if they pull away? What if all of this is gone tomorrow, and you live 10 versions of the future before the present has even finished? But look at what that costs. To stay that prepared, you have to step slightly outside your own life. Joy arrives, and part of you is already bracing for the drop. You're not living the moment, you're guarding it. And this is the cruelest part. You built all of this to avoid one specific pain, and in doing it, you quietly gave up years of your actual life to outrun a heartbreak that might never even come. You didn't lose those moments to the pain, you lost them to the watching. So what do you do with a mind like this? You can't turn the light off. Telling you to notice less is like telling someone to see the world blurry on purpose. The answer was never see less. It's carry less. It starts with a few quiet permissions. Not every silence is a message. Sometimes people are just tired, and it has nothing to do with you. Not every feeling needs solving. Some things pass through you if you let them. And not everyone is thinking the way you think. They aren't sitting at home wondering why you haven't called. Here's the part that quietly hurts, and the part that sets you free. Nobody ever noticed all that extra consideration, because it was happening inside your head the whole time. That careful, endless consideration you extend to everyone. It was never a debt you owed. It's a gift. And you're allowed to spend more of it on yourself, and on the few people who love you the most. That's the whole shift. Awareness without limits turns into suffering. Awareness with limits becomes clarity. The light doesn't go out. It just softens. From a laser that exposes every flaw into something warmer. Bright enough to understand people. Gentle enough, finally, to warm yourself too. If you saw yourself somewhere in this, hear the part that takes most people years to learn. The depth you carry was never the problem. It just never got told it was allowed to rest. So tell me, which one of these sounded most like you? The equation? The mirror? The empathy that never shuts off? Drop it in the comments. Your experience might be the exact clarity someone scrolling tonight needs to finally feel understood. And if this gave you a new way to see yourself, stay a while. That's what we do here at Cognitive Psychology. Quietly take the mind apart for people who feel everything a little too deeply. Take care of that busy, beautiful mind.